So, Black Ops 7 Season 4 dropped, and the biggest thing for zombies until Reloaded drops a new map is the introduction of a new side mode called Rogue Run. This is, as the name implies, inspired by rogue-type games where you complete waves and select from rewards to get stronger for the next wave. Completing certain objectives grants permanent upgrades that will also assist you in future runs. This is in theory a perfect mode for the sandbox of zombies, so let's talk about how it turned out. I streamed this mode for about 3 hours when it came out, and since then I've put in more time to complete the 3 main boss fights and then the all boss fight mode. I've also explored the endurance mode, and that's all we have here for modes at this point, so I have dove into this mode and spent plenty of time with it. What we have are the 3 main modes, which you are progressing through rounds, getting stronger and facing an elite enemy every 5 rounds until you get to round 20, where you face the HVT boss enemy for that run to try and win it. These are the runs that get you started within the mode and let you get an understanding of how everything works. Until you later unlock wonder weapons, you will only be able to carry one bullet weapon which has infinite ammo. Once you unlock the ability for wonder weapons to be in the reward pool, it will give you one, but it'll have limited ammo, which you can refill with max ammos as normal, or with the reward, which we will talk about in a second. Your rewards granted to you after each wave initially start with 3 choices. You can select to refill your ammo, equipment, and field upgrade charge with the ammo box reward. It may offer you a perk, or an eternal for a perk you already have, an ammo mod, a new random weapon of a certain class and of a random rarity or pack-a-punch level, or a new field upgrade. By playing the mode and completing certain rounds or boss fights, you can unlock more reward options. Early on, if you go through in the order of the modes, you'll get the ability to have wonder weapons be in the pool. After that, you'll get a 4th podium instead of the usual 3 to give you more options. So ultimately, this is the gameplay loop. Play the modes and survive waves, where you then pick from random rewards in an attempt to get stronger and take on the boss. Or, in the case of endurance, get stronger and survive as long as you can. I went into this mode kind of expecting to be blown away, but I found the mode isn't very exciting and has some flaws, especially for solo play. The rounds early in your matches, and late, go incredibly slow. Round 1 isn't a normal round 1 with less than 10 zombies. It's a very long round 1 that you slowly work through, and then every round is like that. This is probably my biggest complaint for the mode, is that it is so slow. I've had it take 20 to 30 minutes just to not even be at round 10 yet, depending on my reward luck. Even with good luck, it'll take a while. My first run, I had good upgrades and defeated Lucy at round 20, all by myself. That was a solo match, and that still took me nearly an hour to get to round 20. Then the next match was really slow because I was stuck with a green rarity, no pack-a-punch, no ammo mod pistol, fighting an Uber Klaus. It took forever to slowly take his health away, and it was such a boring stretch because I simply didn't have good rewards before round 5 when I saw him. The late rounds are also slow because they are way inflated from what a normal round would be at that point. I played the mode where all bosses are in it, and at round 39, right before the final boss, it took us 9 minutes and 40 seconds, and it was ended early by a nuke, so who knows how much longer it would have actually gone. That length of a round is something you don't typically see until you're hundreds of rounds deep in a high round run. It brings the mode's pace to a crawl. Then you've got a boss fight like Maul, who is an amalgam that uses nearby zombies to heal himself. Unlike a typical elite round in this mode where you can take out all the zombies around the elite and then deal with them alone, the final bosses have zombies spawning the entire time. Without an ammo mod like I was stuck without, it is such a slow fight by yourself. You can't train the zombies away from the boss while somebody else damages the boss, so it becomes a slog when playing solo. With a triple packed legendary assault rifle, it took me 10 plus minutes to slowly take down his health while he healed constantly. Lucy, as a doppelgast, is not too hard to defeat. Her gimmick is fake amalgams, but this fight is not hard and definitely a good choice for the first boss of the mode. Mo is the last of the 3 bosses, and he's an abomination which requires you to swap weapons, as he will become immune if damaged by the same weapon too much. So you just flip back and forth between weapons and you'll be fine. The fight drops you guns so you can actually have a second one in hand, which is a saving grace. Regardless though, this fight still takes forever solo because he simply has so much health. It isn't really a skill test, it's an endurance test of how long you're willing to run in circles dealing with this guy before you fall asleep or turn off the game. So across the 3 main starting modes, it simply isn't that exciting. It is a slow process capped off by a usually slow boss fight. There is a way that surprised me, which does make this better, but we'll talk about that a little later. Another bigger reason of my disappointment is how slowly your power increases and kind of the limit your power has in this mode. So let's talk about that next. Again, the core loop is finishing a round and then grabbing your single reward to be more powerful the next round. Especially when it comes to the main boss fight modes within Rogue Run, it is such a slow increase to your power level that it makes the mode feel less fun to engage with. You only have until round 20 to get powered up. That makes for 19 opportunities to grab a reward before it's time to fight the boss and end the run. Being at the mercy of RNG, you are searching for weapons, ammo mods, and perks as your main things. They also do allow you to add more to your loot pool by playing, which is great, but also not great because it dilutes your options. Once you have all of the options unlocked, you can get perks, weapons, aether tools, pack-a-punch crystals, field upgrades, armor upgrades, max ammos, and augments from these pedestals. That is a lot of stuff for 5 podiums. It's really 4 because augments are a dedicated podium, but still a lot of stuff. You're also able to get wonder weapons as a reward, and these frustrate me because, for one, it seems bugged. The Necrofluid Gauntlet was shown in the promotional stuff, and so far I haven't seen anyone actually be able to acquire it. Even on posts I've seen occasionally on Twitter of people specifically asking if anyone has got it, no one has come forward and claimed that they've received it from the reward pool. So, yet another Black Ops 7 bug is annoying, but the second reason is a more real one, and I'm annoyed with how the wonder weapons don't even guarantee to give you a different wonder weapon than the one you already have. I had a Pack-a-Punch level 3 ray gun and decided I'll spin the wonder weapon reward again, hoping for the gauntlet just to see if I could get it, but all I got was a ray gun again, but now I had no Pack-a-Punch on it. So my reward for completing that round was the ability to have the exact same weapon, but way weaker. Sick. Later, we're going to talk about changes I want to see to this mode, but before we get to the rest of those, since we're talking about it, I want to see rewards for wonder weapons, I don't know, guarantee giving you something than the weapon you already have in your hand, and also just add all the wonder weapons to the pool. The biggest saving grace of this reward situation is that you can go to Chompy and spend 30k essence for him to drop you a useful item like a self-revive, pack-a-punch crystal, aether tool, perk can, or other similar things. It does help, but it is still slower in progression overall, regardless of Chompy. Chompy is a very helpful addition to this, and without it, it would be downright bad. Either way, it feels like the power scaling is off in this mode, and it makes things not as enjoyable. Feeling like you're always just strong enough to survive, but not strong enough to be powerful is not fun. I've spent a lot of time talking about what I don't like about this mode, so you may have the impression that I don't like it, but that isn't the case. The foundation of this mode and its concept is great. I love a new way to play zombies that doesn't involve battling other players. You can still play by yourself or cooperatively with other players to progress. Which leads me to the biggest surprise highlight of this mode, which I mentioned before. I have always been someone who plays zombies with my friends or by myself. I value my sanity too much to want to suffer in public lobbies, so I avoid them at nearly all times. I don't think I ever did a public match in Cold War. I know I did one in Black Ops 6, but that was just some casual Liberty Falls, and prior to now, I did one in the Black Ops 7 farm beta. Rogue Run, though, has done the nearly impossible feat of making public matches viable, and not only viable, but alluring. The key to making this mode viable as a public lobby game mode is that it is not that complicated and it is slower, which allows players to get a better feel for their surroundings before the difficulty ramps up too much. For a casual player, I imagine it is also nice to not have to worry about balancing currencies at all. Use some essence to pay for Chompy, but outside of that, there's nothing else to buy with essence, and salvage is completely irrelevant to this mode. That makes it easier to get your foot in the door. Your upgrades are all presented to you between rounds where you can pick them as easily as they appear, which makes growing more powerful easy to pick up. The boss fights in this mode are also relatively straightforward. Lucy is the easiest, Maul is harder, but with multiple people it's easy, and Mo is a tanky guy, but it is easier with a team. So hopping into a public lobby makes all of these bosses much easier simply by having other people shoot at the boss. Maul, for example, with other players allows some people to train zombies and the others to shoot the boss while he has limited or no healing coming his way with all the zombies distracted. Mo would normally become immune to your weapon as you damage him and you'd be swapping guns a lot in solo, But with other players, as long as they are damaging him, your gun can keep going, so I didn't even have to swap my weapon at all when playing in a public lobby, which made the fight more straightforward, which is better for public lobbies too. Playing through these matches does not require any special steps at any point to progress. Get to the boss fight if it's the 20, 30, 40 mode, or just beat the mode with a single boss fight. Or if it's endurance, just keep going until everyone gives up. With a full team, the boss fights become simple and the rest of the match is easier to get into, which means experienced players won't spend as much of their time reviving teammates, which is an issue in traditional public lobbies. I believe that the structure of this mode being slower and a little more simple does make it more appealing to a casual experience. And making the simple fact of having teammates make the boss fights easier makes it more appealing for folks who avoid public lobbies to finally flip back on the squad fill and play with other people. I have enjoyed playing this in public lobbies. It becomes a much better experience when you have others on your team helping out, regardless of if you know them or not. Of course, your own friends would be the best, but if they aren't available or you don't have any that want to play with you, then I can actually, for the first time almost ever, recommend opening up to a public lobby to play this mode. It does make it more fun. It is still slow, don't get me wrong, but it is fun, and playing the boss modes put a cap on the run that will end it before it gets too long or before public match players would be bailing out. Another thing about this mode that I like is that it takes some lesser used gobblegums and gives them a new home. This is also one of the reasons that I like Dead Ops Arcade 4 so much, is that the mode opens the door to so many gobblegums that I just never use in a normal match. When it comes to Rogue Run, the best example of this is stock option. I won't use those gobblegums basically ever in a regular match of zombies, but here in Rogue Run, it is a really good gobblegum. Seeing as your primary weapon will regenerate stock ammo infinitely, that means within Rogue Run, a stock option basically becomes a free fire as it is pulling from stock ammo, but that stock ammo is a never-ending supply. So it's a really good gobblegum. This kind of thing is something that I like to see, giving new purpose to lesser used game assets. So Rogue Run is actually quite fun, and especially so in public lobbies. It's a new way to play, but it is rather slow and prevents the player from getting very powerful at all unless you play endurance for hours and hours long enough to get more power. The foundation is there. This is a neat new way to engage with zombies, so I don't want to see it go away or be completely forgotten. I think it can be a great side mode if expanded a little, so let's talk about some things I want to see added or changed. First thing is, it would simply be nice to have more arenas. Seeing the boss fight arena of Ashes as a playable space is fun, and I want to see more lesser used areas in this mode. It would also be nice to see locations from other maps while we're at it, just some new spots to spice it up. The Rampage Inducer would be incredible for early rounds, or simply making the early rounds shorter. On the flip side, the later rounds do need to be shorter. It is a slog when you're hitting 10-minute rounds and you're only in the 30s. My biggest thing I want fixed is how rewards work. Nothing major, but a small change that could help a teeny bit. With how many reward types there get to be as you play the mode and unlock new ones, it gets hard to find the things you want when you're balancing all the items you want to get, also while trying to get augments. Now that I have all of the options available, I have gone long stretches without even seeing an armor upgrade option or an Aether tool option. As you unlock more types of rewards and pedestals, you should be able to pick a second reward, especially when it comes to augments. Augments have their own dedicated podium every round, but you still have to choose to take that over another reward. It would be great if once augments were added to your pool that you'd have the option to take an augment and a main reward. Or if the augment isn't any good, just take your main reward and move on. As it stands, I don't get many augments, and definitely not the ones I want, as every time you add a new perk, for example, you just added 8 augments to your pool to randomly have an option for. Being able to at least take one augment every round and still have other rewards is great. Otherwise, I wind up with only 3 to 5 augments late into a match, and your power level does struggle because of it, just like in the Black Ops 7 beta when there were no augments. Let's put it this way. There are 12 perks available in Rogue Run as far as I can tell, with Mule Kick not being included. That's fine. But if you have all of your augments maxed out and you have 12 perks, you are equipping 36 augments just by doing that in a normal match. But here, you're only getting 3 to 5. You're getting a very small percentage, 10%-ish, if that, of your normal power level just relating to augments, not even including your field upgrade or your ammo mods you might be running. So you are significantly weaker because those augments do stack up and make a large part of your power scaling. Without them, you are going to be weaker, and it is going to make it feel slower, and you're not going to be as strong. I think allowing players a small window of more opportunity to power up through these augments being selected every round, if they're good, is great. Right now, the early rounds are so slow and boring and easy, but then the later rounds are so long and tedious because you're quite a bit weaker than a normal match. I would also like to see more bosses added. Right now, the relative simplicity of the mode is a positive, so I like these bosses being generally simple. I know some folks want to see real Easter egg boss fights added, but I don't see that meshing well with what this mode does well. I want to see more bosses get added with different mechanics that aren't overly complicated. Right now, only having 3 is a bit limited, but that is generally the case with this mode. It clearly has some good ideas, but needs some things tweaked or more things added to make it great, or even better. That is my priority list or a wish list of things that I want added or changed. Please feel free to throw some in the comments below that you have. Overall, I do like this mode, so I'm hoping it at least sticks around, unlike Zombie Battle, but even better would be seeing it expanded in some ways. This is a great way to give players something to feast on between main maps. Have you had a chance to try Rogue Run? What did you think about it? Do any of these ideas sound good to you, or do you have other ideas? Let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to reading those. Thank you all for watching. Until next time.